Listen to me very carefully because what I'm about to tell you changed my entire life. I'm talking about the moment everything clicked. The moment I went from being just another guy trying to make it to becoming the person you see today. A multi-millionaire, an investor, someone who built companies from nothing and sold them for hundreds of millions of dollars. And I'm going to share with you the one rule, the single principle that made all of that possible. But before I do, I need something from you. If you're serious about making money, if you actually want to stop being broke and start building real wealth, then hit that subscribe button right now. Join this community. We're building something here and I need you in it. Because what I'm about to teach you, most people will never understand. They'll watch this video, they'll nod their heads, and then they'll go right back to making the same mistakes that keep them poor. Don't be that person. Now let me take you back. I wasn't born rich. I didn't inherit a trust fund. My mother was a small business owner who worked her fingers to the bone. She taught me something very early on. She said, money doesn't care about your feelings. Money doesn't care if you're tired, if you're scared, if you think you deserve a break. Money only responds to one thing, and that's discipline. But I didn't really understand what she meant until much later. I spent years in my 20s and 30s grinding, working, trying to build something. And you know what? I made every mistake you can imagine. I trusted the wrong people. I invested in businesses that had no chance of making money. I wasted time on projects that made me feel good, but didn't put a single dollar in my pocket. I was busy, but I wasn't rich. And that's when it hit me. I was sitting in my office one night looking at my bank account, looking at my business, and I realized I had been playing the game all wrong. I had been operating under the assumption that if I just worked hard enough, if I just cared enough, if I just believed in myself enough, the money would come. That's garbage. That's what broke people tell themselves to feel better about being broke. The truth, the real truth that nobody wants to hear, is that you don't get rich by working hard. You get rich by working smart. And working smart means understanding the one rule I'm about to share with you. Here it is. Are you ready? The rule is this: money is the only thing that matters in business. Not your passion, not your dreams, not how you feel about what you're doing. Money. That's it. That's the rule. Now, before you start typing angry comments, before you tell me I'm cold or heartless or greedy, let me explain what I mean. Because this rule, when you really understand it, when you let it guide every single decision you make, it will transform your life. It will make you richer than you ever thought possible. And it will save you from wasting years of your life chasing things that will never pay you back. You see, most people approach business backwards. They start with an idea they love. They start with something they're passionate about. They say things like, I've always wanted to open a bakery, or I love fashion, so I'm going to start a clothing line, or I'm really into fitness, so I'm going to be a personal trainer. And you know what I say to that? I say, who cares? Who cares what you love? Who cares what you're passionate about? The only question that matters is, will it make money? Because I don't care how much you love your business. If it doesn't generate cash, it's not a business. It's an expensive hobby. And hobbies don't make you rich. They make you broke. I learned this lesson the hard way. Early in my career, I got involved in projects because they excited me. I thought, this is cool, this is interesting, this could be fun. And you know what happened? I lost money. I wasted time. I spun my wheels while other people, smarter people, were out there building real wealth. It wasn't until I completely changed my mindset, until I started asking the only question that matters, that everything changed. And that question is, where is the money? Every single decision I make, I ask that question. Should I invest in this company? Where is the money? Should I spend time on this project? Where is the money? Should I hire this person? Where is the money? It sounds simple, and it is simple, but simple doesn't mean easy. Because here's the problem. Most people can't handle this rule. They can't handle the idea that money comes first. They want to believe that if they just follow their heart, if they just do what they love, the money will follow. And I'm here to tell you that's a lie. That's a fairy tale that broke people tell themselves. The money doesn't follow your passion. The money follows value. The money follows solutions. The money follows results. And if you want to get rich, you have to stop thinking about what makes you happy and start thinking about what makes money. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, but Kevin, don't you have to enjoy what you do? Don't you have to care about your work? And my answer is, sure, it's great if you enjoy it, but that's a bonus. That's the cherry on top. That's not the foundation. The foundation is always money, because let me tell you something. You know what I'm really passionate about? I'm passionate about not being broke. I'm passionate about financial freedom. I'm passionate about having options. And you know what gives you all of that? Money. Not your feelings, not your dreams, money. Let me give you an example. When I started my first real company, I didn't start it because I loved the product. I started it because I saw an opportunity to make money. I saw a gap in the market. I saw something people needed, something they were willing to pay for, and I built a business around that need. Did I wake up every morning excited to go to work? Not always. Some days it was boring. Some days it was frustrating. But you know what? I did it anyway because I kept my eye on the prize, and the prize wasn't feeling fulfilled. The prize was building something valuable, something I could sell, something that would make me rich. And that's exactly what happened. I sold that company for millions of dollars. And you know what? That felt pretty good. This is the mindset shift you have to make. You have to stop asking, what do I love? You have to start asking, what will people pay for? You have to stop thinking about your passion and start thinking about profit. Because at the end of the day, the market doesn't care about your passion. The market doesn't care about your story. The market only cares about one thing. Can you solve my problem? Can you give me something I need? Can you deliver value? And if you can do that, the market will pay you. And if you can't, the market will ignore you. It's that simple. But here's where it gets interesting. Here's where this rule really starts to show its power. When you make money your number one priority, when you let that guide every decision, something amazing happens. You start making better choices. You start seeing opportunities other people miss. You start building businesses that actually work instead of businesses that just make you feel good. And over time, those businesses start to compound. They start to grow. And before you know it, you're not just making money. You're making serious money, the kind of money that changes your life. I'm going to show you exactly how this works. I'm going to break down the specific ways I use this rule every single day to evaluate deals, to build companies, to invest in entrepreneurs. And I'm going to show you how you can apply this same rule to your own life, whether you're starting a business, climbing the corporate ladder, or just trying to figure out your next move. But first, I need you to understand something. This rule only works if you're willing to be honest with yourself, brutally honest. And most people aren't. Most people lie to themselves every single day about why they're not making money. They tell themselves stories. They make excuses. They blame the economy. They blame their boss. They blame their circumstances. But the real reason they're not making money is because they're not willing to do what it takes. They're not willing to make the hard choices. They're not willing to put money first. Let me tell you what happens on Shark Tank. I sit in that chair and I listen to entrepreneurs pitch their businesses. And do you know what I see over and over again? I see people who are in love with their product. They're in love with their idea. They're in love with their story. And when I ask them the most important question, when I say, what are your numbers? What are your sales? What's your profit margin? They stumble. They fumble. They give me excuses. They say, well, we're still building the brand, or we're focused on customer acquisition right now, or we believe in the long-term vision. And you know what I say? I'm out. Because if you can't show me the money, if you can't prove to me that this business generates cash, then I don't care how good your story is. I don't care how much you believe in it. It's worthless to me. And this is where most people get it wrong. They think business is about having a great idea. It's not. Business is about execution. It's about turning that idea into revenue. It's about making sales. It's about profit. I've seen terrible ideas make millions of dollars because the person behind it understood how to sell. And I've seen brilliant ideas go absolutely nowhere because the entrepreneur was too busy being an artist and not enough of a business person. The market rewards results, not intentions. Now here's the part that really separates the winners from the losers. When you understand that money is the only thing that matters, you start making decisions differently. You start cutting out all the noise. You start eliminating everything that doesn't contribute to the bottom line. And this is where people get uncomfortable because suddenly you have to fire your friend who's not performing. You have to stop spending money on things that feel good but don't generate return. You have to say no to opportunities that sound exciting but don't have a clear path to profit. This is hard. This requires discipline, but this is exactly what makes you rich. I remember when I was building my education software company, we had this one project that everyone on the team loved. It was creative, it was innovative, people were excited about it. But when I looked at the numbers, when I analyzed the cost versus the potential revenue, it was clear as day. This project was going to lose money. It wasn't going to move the needle. So you know what I did? I killed it. I shut it down, and my team was devastated. They thought I was being cruel. They thought I didn't care about innovation. But you know what? I did care. I cared about keeping the company alive. I cared about making payroll. I cared about building something valuable, and that meant making the hard choice. That's what this rule does for you. It gives you clarity. It gives you a filter. Every decision becomes simple. Does this make money? Yes or no? If yes, you do it. If no, you don't. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. It doesn't matter if it's fun or boring. The only question is, does it generate cash? And when you live by this principle, when you really commit to it, you eliminate so much waste from your life. You stop wasting time on things that don't matter. You stop investing energy in projects that go nowhere. You become efficient, you become focused, and that focus is what builds wealth. Let me give you another example. I get pitched investment opportunities all the time. People come to me with ideas, with business plans, with visions, and they always start with the story. They tell me about their journey, about their inspiration, about why they're so passionate about this, and I stop them. I say, I don't care about your story. Show me your financials. Show me your revenue. Show me your customer acquisition cost. Show me your margins, because that's all that matters. I'm not investing in your feelings. I'm investing in your ability to generate return. And if you can't show me the path to profit, then we're done talking. This might sound cold to you. It might sound harsh, but let me ask you something. Would you rather I lie to you? Would you rather I tell you that following your passion is enough? Would you rather I give you false hope? Because that's what most people do. They tell you what you want to hear. They say, believe in yourself, follow your dreams, stay positive. And you know what happens? You stay broke. You stay stuck. You waste years of your life chasing something that was never going to work. I'm not going to do that to you. I'm going to tell you the truth. And the truth is, if you want to get rich, you have to stop caring about everything except the money. Now, here's where this gets really powerful. When you adopt this mindset, when you make money your priority, something interesting happens in your personal life too. You start valuing your time differently. You start asking, is this worth my time? Does this activity, this relationship, this commitment, does it move me closer to my financial goals? And if it doesn't, you cut it out. You stop going to events that don't serve you. You stop spending time with people who drain your energy. You stop doing things out of obligation, because your time is your most valuable asset. And every hour you waste is an hour you're not building wealth. People don't like hearing this. They say, Kevin, you can't put a price on everything. You can't measure relationships by money. And I say, you're right. Not everything is about money. But if you're broke, if you're struggling, if you're stressed about bills, then yes, everything needs to be about money until you fix that problem. Because financial stress destroys everything else in your life. It destroys your relationships. It destroys your health. It destroys your happiness. So don't tell me money doesn't matter. Money matters more than almost anything else. And once you have it, once you've built real wealth, then you can afford to think about other things. But until then, money has to be your focus. I've built multiple companies. I've made millions of dollars. I've lost millions of dollars. I've been through every scenario you can imagine. And I can tell you from experience, the times I made the most money were the times I was most ruthless about this rule. The times I lost money were the times I let my emotions get in the way. The times I made decisions based on what felt right instead of what the numbers said. Every time I strayed from this rule, I paid the price. And every time I came back to it, I won. So let me ask you a question. Are you ready to commit to this? Are you ready to make money your number one priority? Because if you are, if you're truly ready, then your life is about to change. But you have to be all in. You can't do this halfway. You can't say, well, I'll focus on money most of the time, but I'll also follow my passion a little bit. That doesn't work. You have to choose. And if you choose money, if you choose wealth, then you have to be willing to make the sacrifices that come with it. Let me tell you what those sacrifices look like, because this is the part nobody talks about. This is the part that separates the people who actually get rich from the people who just talk about it. You're going to have to say no to a lot of things. You're going to have to say no to the friends who want to hang out when you need to be working. You're going to have to say no to the family members who don't understand why you're always busy. You're going to have to say no to the opportunities that look shiny. but don't have a real business model behind them. And this is where most people fail. They can't say no. They want to please everyone. They want to keep everyone happy. And in the process, they lose focus. They dilute their efforts, and they end up with nothing. I learned early on that every yes to something is a no to something else. When you say yes to a project that doesn't make money, you're saying no to a project that could. When you say yes to spending your Saturday at a barbecue, you're saying no to spending that time building your business. Now, I'm not saying you should never relax. I'm not saying you should never see your friends. But what I am saying is that if you're serious about getting rich, if that's truly your goal, then you have to be strategic about how you spend every single hour. And most of your hours need to go toward activities that generate income. Let me break down what this looks like in practice. Every morning when I wake up, I look at my schedule and I ask myself one question: which of these activities will make me money? And I prioritize those. Everything else gets pushed to the bottom or eliminated entirely. I don't take meetings that don't have a clear financial purpose. I don't invest time in projects that don't have a path to revenue. I don't entertain conversations that aren't moving me forward. This might sound extreme, but this is exactly why I've been successful. I protect my time like it's gold, because it is gold. Now let's talk about the people in your life. This is a tough one, but it's critical. You need to evaluate the people around you through this same lens. Are the people in your circle helping you build wealth, or are they holding you back? Are they encouraging you to take risks and build something, or are they telling you to play it safe and get a job? Are they ambitious and driven, or are they comfortable and complacent? Because here's the truth: you become like the people you spend time with. If you're surrounded by broke people with broke mindsets, you're going to stay broke. If you're surrounded by successful people who think about money the way I'm teaching you to think about it, you're going to become successful. This doesn't mean you abandon everyone who isn't rich, but it does mean you need to be very careful about who has access to your time and your energy, because negative people, people who don't believe in what you're doing, people who try to talk you out of taking risks, they're dangerous. They will kill your dreams. They will convince you to settle, and settling is the enemy of wealth. So you need to create boundaries. You need to protect yourself from the people who don't understand this rule. And you need to surround yourself with people who do. Let me tell you about one of the biggest mistakes I see people make. They confuse activity with progress. They're busy all day long. They're running around. They're in meetings. They're responding to emails. They're putting out fires. And at the end of the day, they feel exhausted. They feel like they worked hard. But when I ask them, how much money did you make today? They can't answer, because they weren't focused on revenue. They were focused on being busy. And being busy doesn't make you rich. Making money makes you rich. This is why I'm obsessed with metrics. I track everything. I know exactly how much money each of my businesses is generating. I know my profit margins. I know my costs. I know where every dollar is coming from and where it's going. And when something isn't working, when a product isn't selling or a division isn't profitable, I make a change immediately. I don't wait. I don't hope it gets better. I act. Because in business, hope is not a strategy. Action is a strategy. And the action you take needs to be based on data, not feelings. So here's what I want you to do starting right now. I want you to audit your life. I want you to look at everything you're doing and ask yourself, is this making me money? Look at your job. Is it paying you what you're worth? If not, it's time to have a conversation with your boss, or start looking for something better. Look at your side projects. Are they generating income, or are they just hobbies? If they're hobbies, either turn them into businesses or stop wasting time on them. Look at how you spend your evenings and weekends. Are you investing that time in building something, or are you just consuming, watching TV, scrolling through social media, wasting hours on things that don't move you forward? I'm not saying you can never relax, but I am saying that if you want to get rich, you need to be very intentional about how you spend your time. And the vast majority of your time needs to be focused on activities that generate income. This is the discipline I'm talking about. This is what separates the people who actually build wealth from the people who just talk about it. Now, let me tell you what happens when you fully commit to this rule. When you make money your priority, when you cut out all the noise, when you focus exclusively on activities that generate cash, your life starts to change fast. You start seeing opportunities everywhere. You start making connections that lead to deals. You start building momentum. And that momentum compounds. One good decision leads to another. One successful project funds the next one. And before you know it, you're not just making money, you're building real wealth. But here's the thing, this only works if you stay disciplined, because the temptation to go back to your old ways is always there. The temptation to take your foot off the gas, to coast, to start saying yes to things that don't serve you, it's always lurking. And the moment you lose focus, the moment you start making decisions based on emotions instead of numbers, you start sliding backwards. I've seen it happen to so many people. They have success, they make some money, and then they get comfortable. They stop doing the things that made them successful, and they wonder why their income starts to decline. This is why I'm relentless. This is why I never stop. Even now, even with all the success I've had, I'm still focused on making money. I'm still evaluating every opportunity. I'm still asking, where is the money? Because the moment you stop asking that question, the moment you think you've made it and you can relax, that's when someone else comes along and takes your spot. The market doesn't care about your past success. The market only cares about what you're doing right now. So let me leave you with this. If you take nothing else from this video, remember this one thing. Money is the only thing that matters in business. Not your passion, not your feelings, not your story. Money. And if you can internalize this rule, if you can let it guide every decision you make, you will get rich. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Because this rule works. It's worked for me. It's worked for every successful entrepreneur I know, and it will work for you. But you have to commit. You have to be willing to make the hard choices. You have to be willing to say no to the things that don't serve you. You have to be willing to focus on money above everything else until you've built the wealth you want. And I promise you, if you do this, your life will never be the same. Now, I need you to do something for me. If this video helped you, if you finally understand what it takes to get rich, then smash that like button right now. Leave me a comment and tell me, are you ready to make money your priority? Are you ready to commit to this rule? And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel and become a member, because I'm building a community of people who think like this, people who understand that getting rich isn't about luck or circumstances. It's about discipline and focus. And I want you to be part of that community. So subscribe, become a member, and let's build wealth together. Because the world needs more people who understand how money really works. And now you're one of them.